yeah, I took several gunshots to my leg, so they basically entered through my backside and came out through my groin, and then one to my shoulder as well. Um,
Do you remember the moment of being shot? Do you remember the impact, or was it kind of the shock of it just put you unconscious?
no, no, I'd actually stayed conscious throughout, right up to the point that I was on the helicopter on my way to hospital. So it was a real intense sort of burning sensation. Almost felt like cramp in my hamstrings, and it was enough to obviously sort of put me on the floor. Several of the rounds that went in basically sort of and exited through my groin had hit my femoral artery. So obviously for an arterial bleed, you've got around about 4 minutes before you bleed out. Um, so I was lucky. Some of the lads I was part of the safety team with, really sort of experienced blokes, and they happened to have tourniquets on them, um, and they were on me straight away.
Thank God.
But
Yeah.
it was a comical sort of series of events, I suppose, that followed that. Really,
Really.
yeah, yeah. It's the initially one of the lads had gone to sort of put the palm of his hand on my groin to sort of apply pressure to the area, and his hand had sort of the exit wound was that big that his hand had sort of slipped inside my leg,
Oh my goodness.
and and then they applied a tourniquet above the exit wound, and then one below. But the one below, I remember sort of absolutely screaming, and it was because the they'd managed to catch my testicles in the tourniquet.
No way. No way. That's the last thing you needed in that moment.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously I was absolutely screaming in pain. So that one was quickly taken off and then reapplied.
Insult to injury. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sort of, in a weird sort of way, it kept the mood quite light. And as much as I was in a lot of pain, and added to the fact that none of the lads had any morphine, so the whole time I'm laying there, I'm getting the full experience of what it feels like to be shot.
I can't imagine the pain of that. It must have been, yeah, something else. And well, thank God you survived it, because I don't know how many people there are in the world that got shot 7 times and managed to survive. And the crazy thing that I read about this as well is you technically you actually died a couple of times, didn't you? Was it on in the helicopter and on the operating table, even for a time of up to 5 minutes, which was so it was really touch and go. Yeah, if you could just tell us a bit about that.
I'd been sort of fighting and fighting and fighting, sort of laying on the ground, knowing knowing that this nice, cozy, relaxed feeling wasn't a good sign. So to sort of stay awake, and I had some encouragement from the lads that I was working with.
Can imagine, yeah.
But once I'd got onto the helicopter, once they'd sort of carried the stretcher on, in in my mind I was safe, so I relaxed a little bit. Apparently, that's when I sort of went.